All right, so here's a question for you. What are you fighting for? Next on the Metal Pulpit. So that was a question I asked the church that I pastor this last Sunday. What are you fighting for? We began a new series called Fight. And, the question, it's a good question because all of us are fighting for something. But the real question is, what are you fighting for? You see, we're all warriors. Our God is fierce. Our God is a God that will lead us into battle. He's a God that will give us victory. And when we think of fighting, when we think of wars, sometimes we think of these big epic things, when in fact, fighting for something could be as, well, your marriage, your kids, your relationships, your job, your own sanity. And when we ask the question, what are you fighting for? That's a legitimate question because we all have something worth fighting for. But when it's turned the wrong direction, we turn that zeal, we turn that passion to something that may be a little bit more destructive. So we start picking battles with our spouses. We start picking battles with our kids. We start picking battles with our bosses, and it becomes a very destructive thing. Too many Christians these days know what they should fight for, but they don't. They just don't. If they're a Christian that goes to church, they clock in, they clock out, and that's good enough for them. If it's a ministry that they could start or a ministry that they could be a part of, well, we have every reason under the sun as to why we shouldn't be getting involved. And, I get that. I totally get that. Right now, my family, we're in the heart, the beginning, the onset of sports season. Okay, my daughter, she's 9, she plays softball, and I'm her coach. And then my son, he's 10, and he plays baseball. And it keeps us hopping. It really does. Between that and my wife's work schedule, my church schedule, and everything, we have a lot going on. And I think you're probably in the same boat as well. Whether if you're single or with a family, we have busy lives. Nonetheless, there's things we need to fight for. Let's take a look at a few things. First of all, we have the very thought of helping people. Okay, being involved in a church, being involved in different areas of life. We can fight for something. We can make a difference. But are we? Are we doing that? Because when we don't fight for something, we tend to withdraw. Have you ever seen a football team? Now, I'm from Wisconsin, so our team is the Green Bay Packers. Have you ever seen a football team that went on the defense? This happened to us a few years back at Super Bowl. It almost seemed like Coach McCarthy just gave up coaching. And for that third and fourth quarter, nothing happened. In fact, the other team went on the offense and they started scoring. That always is the case. Whenever a team or a person goes on the defense, the other team's going to score. And who is the other team in our case? It's Satan. It's the enemy. And so I want to challenge you in this podcast to start fighting for something. Okay? I know I have a few things I need to fight for. And quite honestly, I think you probably do as well. If everything's going well, what can you fight for? What's going on in your neighborhood? What's going on in your city that you could find some social injustice and say, I'm going to fight for these people. For me, on that front, we have a ministry to people that are down and out, and we bring a home-cooked meal every month and clothes and toiletries and everything, and we fight for these people. We fight for them to have a place in this life, a place in this city, and it's a fight worth having. So what are you going to fight for? Your family? Your kids? Your own sanity? Your job? The voices that can't be heard because they're just voices that people have written off? We all have something worth fighting for to make a difference for God and for this kingdom. Something to think about. Shoot me your thoughts, your questions. Email me, pastorbobadams@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day.